Okay, everybody, 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. Happy Monday evening. Tropical update on what's today, the 9th, right? One day before the statistical peak of the season, and we have Tropical Storm Francine. We have two waves out in the Atlantic. Those aren't a big deal. We'll talk about them briefly, but those aren't a big deal. Obviously, Francine is what we want to talk about, and here it is. Tropical storm, and as of 5 o'clock, well, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, it's got 65-mile-per-hour winds. It's down here south of Brownsville, almost south of Brownsville. But what you can see is happening now, I mean, because this is really close to land. There's the coast, right? You can see the track has kind of shifted to the northwest, and now it is starting to turn a little more north-northwest, and the forecast does call for it to curve a little bit more to the north and the northeast. Again, 65-mile-per-hour winds moving to the north-northwest at 7 miles per hour. Here is the latest forecast from the Hurricane Center. And guys, they are calling for Cat 2, 100-mile-per-hour winds by tomorrow night. That's Tuesday night. And then landfall midday in Louisiana with 100-mile-per-hour winds on Wednesday. That's Wednesday at 1 o'clock. All right, Cat 3 starts at 1:11. All right, so it looks like it's going to intensify. Very warm water underneath of it. Not a whole lot of shear as well, and so it's got ample opportunity to intensify. And then obviously it falls apart, moving right up the Mississippi River as we go through Wednesday night, Thursday, and into Friday. So let's talk about watches and warnings. Brownsville. Essentially, we've got tropical storm warnings in that area. You can see the coastal areas, say Houston in particular, a tropical storm watch. It's the waters offshore that have the warnings of Texas, okay? Now, hurricane warning is now in effect for the coastal areas of Louisiana, especially the southwestern, south of Lake Charles, and all of those waters. So what you've got here is essentially, here's your hurricane warning right in here. You've got a hurricane watch in all of these outlined areas here. The blue, that's the tropical storm warning. And then you've got a tropical storm watch for New Orleans right now. All right, this is a timing thing, and we'll see. That'll probably come tropical storm warning, but I think the highest winds will be right in here anyways. All right, so here's the forecast for winds. And now this is what we call our graph model. And this is our local model here that we have here at 10 Tampa Bay. And now look, this is Wednesday night, Wednesday morning. This is midnight, right? Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You can see most of the winds stay offshore. All right, nothing. Not a lot at all. But obviously you can see it strengthening. It's got a good shape to it. This model usually does actually pretty well, too, with tropics, to be honest with you. Now, here we go. Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Here's your clock up here. There you go. You've got potentially 100-mile-per-hour winds in there. All right, now Franklin, the model's saying 60, 40s out here. Houma and Leeville is about in the 30s. But bottom line, this is the center, obviously. Wherever the center goes in, to the right of that is where you're going to get the highest winds. It's this stretch right in here, generally. Okay, so that's 1 o'clock on Wednesday. That's 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. And look how much the wind has fallen apart. Now, New Orleans in the 30s and 40s, 50s in Baton Rouge. Now, this is a little far out in time for this, but I wanted to start this video with this model so that you get an idea of what it's calling for now. And, of course, I'll update you daily on this, and so you'll be able to see the changes in it. Falls apart pretty quickly once it's over land. That's what they do. But I will say this. There will be, let me back up here. On the right side of that path, you get a pretty good tornado threat. Okay, so you've got it coming in and doing something like this. So this area all in here, and not only there, but that's going to go up into this area here too, right? There's going to be a tornado threat on the right side of that, especially where you see the purple there. So if you're not, you're watching from Mississippi, that's going to be one of your threats along with some rainfall. So here's the wind forecast from the Hurricane Center. Brownsville, possible winds to gale, 40 miles per hour here in the next 12 hours. But by tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock, most of that moves offshore. Tuesday night looks good. This is Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. Now we're starting to see tropical storm force winds almost near the coast. That's the yellow, okay? That's 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning. By about noon, now we're getting those winds in the 50s. This is that stuff that you get those severe thunderstorm warnings for when you have high winds. That's 55, 60 mile per hour winds right there. Now you've got Cat 2 hurricane winds out here. Most of that's Cat 1. So now you're talking winds 70 to 85 or 75 to 85 mile per hour plus sitting out here, okay? That's getting on land around 1 o'clock. And look where it is. It's right down here. Now watch what happens. It shrinks quickly. Wednesday at 6 o'clock. New Iberia, you want to be watching, obviously, probably the closer you get to wherever that center goes is where we're going to have the highest winds. Then it falls apart. All right. Probability of hurricane force winds. And look how it's all here along the coast, right? This might go inland a little bit right in here, but most of this area is going to see tropical storm force winds. This is the probability for hurricane force winds, right? And so you can see it's going to be mainly right there along the immediate coast. Now, all of that wind, especially in this area right in here, is blowing on shore. Whoops, don't want to do that. Let's do this. Doing something like this, right? So you're going to get surge. This is going to be a negative surge out over here, but you are going to get some surge coming up in there, okay? 5 to 10 foot is what they're thinking right now. Obviously, these are some very low-lying areas all in here. I have heard, and I don't know exactly where it was, but there were some mandatory evacuations for part of that area. If you are asked to evacuate, please do so. We have storm surge warnings for all of this area, including Morgan City area, obviously just to the south. Lake Charles not in that, but you get the idea. All those communities to the south there are low-lying anyways, but they're going to get some water. So here we go. This is what the radar will look like, same model, the graph model. And this goes out to noon on Wednesday. There it is. A little choppy over here, but look, these bands up here, tornado producers, at least potential, right? Those outer bands, you got to watch the ones way ahead of it. In fact, look at this. If you're in, New Orleans, even by early on Wednesday morning, this is before the sun even comes up, you've got potentially a tornado threat. But you can see it will continue to move through the area. The heaviest rain will be to the north, and let's say to the north. It's actually north and east initially, but then the heaviest rain will be to the north and northwest as it moves onshore and tends to fall apart. Here's the rainfall forecast. This is the the European model, excuse me. This is the Euro. And you can see, 6 to 10 inches of rainfall. Some areas get a little bit more than that. Just depends on what it looks like at that particular time. But hey, and that's pretty typical for hurricanes. This area, New Orleans, southeast Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, guys, they have been inundated with rain over the last 5-6 days. So, I mean, we're talking soaked, and then you throw in another 4 to 8 inches on top of that area. Yeah, they're going to have some flooding issues there. All right, here's the white lines are the GFS. The European is in the yellow. They're pretty close to each other over here. I'm showing you this view here because look at them trying to pick up on this wave here. That's the one that has a 70% chance of developing. Look what they do with it. This is this upcoming weekend, Saturday, Sunday. That's a Monday. That's a week from today. The good news is it looks like this wants to recurve, right? Maybe even a second one here, but whatever it is, it wants to recurve out to sea. That is fantastic news. We will take it. So here we go. We've got Francine checking off the list here. Gordon would be the next name on the list if we do end up getting another storm, which I'm sure we will. Today's the 9th. Tomorrow's September 10th. That is the statistical peak of hurricane season right there. That means on average we see more storms this time of year than later in the year. So this doesn't mean anything, right? It means activity-wise. But we still got a good chunk of the season ahead of us, especially through the middle of October at least. My favorite's if we can get through Halloween here in Florida, we're doing pretty good at that point. All right, if you're in that area, and this is a good tip if you're not too, you need to take action today. You should have your preps done by sunset on Tuesday, right? The weather's going to start going downhill early on Wednesday morning. Worst weather is midday on Wednesday and into the afternoon hours. So make sure you know your risk. Do you live in an evacuation zone? Do you know where you're going to get your alerts, your forecasts, your local TV station there, WWL? Do you know what you're supposed to do before? You get all your documents together. That's what you're doing right now. You're prepping your house, right? You're knowing all your important stuff. So if you've got to leave, you take it with you. During the storm, you do not want to be in a mobile home, okay? You want to be in a sturdy structure. You want to be out of an evacuation zone. You want to be out of an area that typically floods when you get heavy rainfall. After the storm, you're breaking out. You've lost power, right? You're breaking out the generators. Put the generator outside. Don't put it by a window. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a major killer after storms, and be careful when the power does come back on. If you do have any damage, watch out for downlines and that type of stuff. Okay, guys, that's it. We will keep you updated here on my Facebook page. Take it easy out there.